What is going on, Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today I'm going to talk about why intermittent fasting burns fat faster than every other diet. I'm going to break this down. Stay tuned. Before I start, I really want to touch on one thing, and that thing is I understand that not everyone's the same. Everybody is different. Some diets will work for some people, some diets won't work for others. This I get, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the science based off of the diets and intermittent fasting to show why intermittent fasting is actually the fastest way to burn fat. And it is most likely the fastest method for burning fat in the entire world. Now, there are millions and millions of diets out there. I'm over exaggerating a little bit. There are probably a few thousands of diets out there, all heightening a specific purpose. For example, maybe one tackles high blood pressure, the other one tackles Alzheimer's, but they all generally try to center themselves in losing weight with the added benefit of protecting Alzheimer's or lowering your hypertension. But to ensure that this video is not 100 hours long in which I break down every single diet and why intermittent fasting can burn fat faster than that diet, this video will simply tackle the top 5 diets of 2017 and 2018 based off of health.usnews.com. Now, first thing we want to look at is consistency. The consistency of your diet. If you can consistently do it at a very, very good clip, then you are much more likely to speed up your fat loss. And the reason that this is so is that your body falls into this rhythm and then it allows it to be under control, no longer under the stress of the shift between doing the diet for the first time and then being experienced while doing the diet. Your body has adjusted all of its faculties to accommodate for that diet. It will work much more consistently after that. Now, this brings into question, how sustainable is the diet that you're doing? Now, once you start to introduce diets that specifically touch on eating a specific food group versus another, it becomes much less sustainable. The number one diet by health.usnews.com is called the DASH diet. And the DASH diet basically tells you not to eat saturated fat or sugar type foods. The DASH diet is basically the foods that you've always been told to eat since you were a child. Eat your fruits, eat your veggies, eat your proteins, keep away from saturated fat, keep away from too much dairy. It's basically the normal food groups that they've been telling you to eat since the inception of dieting. Now, what intermittent fasting tells you to do is simply not eat for a period of time, which means that the foods that you like to eat, you can continue to eat. The restriction of food entirely is where the health benefit and the fat burning kicks in, which brings us to our second and possibly most important point: insulin control. The higher your insulin is, the harder it is for you to burn body fat. Calories in versus calories out will always matter. However, the insulin control will determine where your calories are being dispersed from. That's right, you can lose calories from glycogen, you can lose calories from muscle, and you can even lose calories from body fat. Although you may eat certain food groups and minimize your calorie intake when you do it, the fact that you're not restricting eating for a good amount of time means that your insulin will be high. Your insulin is extremely sensitive and can shoot up very easily the moment you consume food. Granted, if you consume less carbs and less sugar, your insulin does not have to go up as high to move the glucose, but it'll still go up, as those things are found in every type of food group. It all depends on how much of carbs and sugar are you actually taking in. It has already been scientifically proven that when your insulin is at baseline, your body will release body fat stores as energy for your body. When your insulin is raised up, your body will protect your body fat stores and not release it under any circumstance. Which means if you're doing the 6 meals a day diet, you've put yourself in a horrible position, because the 6 meal a day diet doesn't leave much room for you to drop your insulin to baseline. And what will end up happening is that you will not be burning fat in the time that you're doing this diet. You will probably only be burning fat during the times that you're sleeping, which is ironic because this diet is designed for you to burn fat using your metabolism. Yes, the 6 meals a day diet is used to increase your metabolism by constantly feeding and burning the furnace of your body so that you never let your metabolism rest. But the problem is that this is based on the thermic effect of food, only at the moments that you're eating the food, and then it drops right back down when you stop eating. So basically it'll just go up and down, up and down, up and down as you're eating. It will never be continuous. calories. And the fact that you're eating is also a double negative. Even though your metabolism is up while you're eating, you are also eating. So you're taking in calories, so it doesn't matter how much calories you're burning at that time. What you want to do is you want to burn calories when your insulin is at baseline. There are other diets like the ketogenic diet that can put your insulin as low as possible because you're not taking in carbs, but only intermittent fasting can do it at its purest form when there is basically no insulin being produced in your body when you're not eating. This alone makes all the other diets very, very difficult to compete in terms of burning fat faster than intermittent fasting. But there are other elements. Not eating food is actually healthier for your body. Your body also responds positively to that, and it can start the process of autophagy, increasing your human growth hormone, which protects your muscles, which is very important because protecting the muscles indicates to your body that when it does take in calories when you actually eat, to make sure to disproportionately give more of the calories to your muscles than to anything else, which means less calories for your body fat, and that can only be found with intermittent fasting, thus increasing the deficit for body fat storage, which creates a faster speed of weight loss when it comes to intermittent fasting versus every other diet. Now, to elaborate more on the health aspect, it is healthy to minimize your food intake. The foods that do the least amount of damage are considered the most healthiest foods. Yes, there are foods that have really good nutrients that you definitely need, but also the fact that you are breaking down, consuming food, and putting that stress on your body is also not as healthy as you may think. You need that break. Your liver, your digestive system, and your body as a whole needs a bigger break than just a few hours so that your body can legitimately reset and actually rejuvenate. The number 4 in the top 5 list in the health.usnews.com is Weight Watchers. And what Weight Watchers does is not only does Weight Watchers determine the calories, but it also throws in the nutrients and how healthy the food is as a whole for you to get a specific number. Now, you may get a tally of 35 points. And if you have 35 points, you can only eat a certain amount of food. Every single food consists of a certain amount of points. Things that are high in saturated fat, things that are high in sugar, things that are calorie dense are considered unhealthier foods. Those will have a higher point average. So if they have 15 points and you eat one of those, you can only eat basically 2 of those things before you go over your number. Things like broccoli, spinach, protein have less points. They may have 5 points. They may have 10 points. So then you have more of an opportunity to eat more of those things than you do the other things that have higher points. That's how Weight Watchers works. So it is dynamically trying to fuse both the calorie intake and the health nutrients of the food for your benefit. But with intermittent fasting, the fact that you're just simply not eating already trumps that card, because your body does not have to focus on digesting. Your body can actually focus on healing your body. That's why things like Alzheimer's disease can be diminished using intermittent fasting. The longevity of life can be extended using intermittent fasting. All of these things lend itself to a healthier body than simply eating things that are healthy. Not eating creates a much broader avenue for health. And you can even double it up by simply doing intermittent fasting and adding nutrient-rich foods when you're actually eating, thus creating that double element to power your intermittent fasting system that much more. With a healthier body, your body reacts accordingly, burning much more fat in your favor. Giving your body less things to worry about in the health department increases its effectiveness when it's trying to reach a specific goal. When you're trying to reach a specific goal, it can focus itself much more on that specific goal, i.e. burning body fat. Now, the final thing that I'm going to touch on why I believe intermittent fasting is the fastest way to lose weight versus any other diet that exists is simply because of calorie control. Yes, the thing that people want to use to try to bring intermittent fasting down is ironically one of the things that intermittent fasting does extremely well. It allows you better focus for controlling the amount of calories that you take into your body so that you don't over exceed your calorie limit. Now, if you were to eat spreading it around throughout the day, it'll be very difficult for you to just inherently know how much calories you took in if you don't count calories. But with intermittent fasting, it's a much different story because you will get full much faster, considering the fact that you are compressing all of your meals of the day within a 1 hour time frame or a 4 hour time frame or whatever short hour time frame that you have for the day, which means you will be much more intuitive on how much food you are actually consuming when you do intermittent fasting. And no matter how healthy healthy or how great or how amazing all these different food diet systems are, if you're spreading out all of your meals, you will not intuitively be able to figure out how much calories you're actually taking in unless you start to measure your calories. And that even brings up another problem. Even if you were to measure your calories and understand how much you're actually eating, how satisfied would you be with that? With intermittent fasting, it's a much different story. Once you get into the rhythm of fasting, which takes about 2 to 3 weeks, you will be so comfortable understanding that you get this extremely large meal comparative to all the other diets that spread everything around, that have to create small meals to even match the calorie deficit that you're creating with that large meal. This in turn lowers your stress level, which lowers your cortisol level, which creates increased body fat burning because you are not stressed out. So there you have it, guys. This is why intermittent fasting is the fastest way to burn fat versus everything, versus any other diet out there. And the nail on the coffin for you to have no excuse for using intermittent fasting is that 95% of the diets that are out there can still be utilized while still using intermittent fasting. And I want to thank my patrons for my Patreon, and I'm going to put their names right up here.